Hello everyone, welcome to video 11, this will be, and in the last video we kind of brushed up on step over and step out, and then we finished up on breakpoints. But I wanted to show you that the breakpoints might appear, the breakpoints panel that you opened might appear in the bottom of your screen in a tab. You might need to actually open it. So right now, after you press stop from the last time we stopped, you can, I don't believe, so if you want to get rid of this breakpoints panel now that we've clicked that, you have to sort of minimize it, disappear it. So it's gone, right? So we're going to go back to the other parts of the debug panel. We're not going to talk about retry, ignore, and restart now because you only use them when there is an error, and I cannot simulate one right now. I don't want to simulate one right now because it will take us down a different trajectory. So we're going to talk about slow step, execution trail, highlight elements, log activities. Continuing an exception is also related to exceptions, and some of these other steps. We're going to talk about those. Now, it's the same process, and I'm just going to remove my breakpoints, right? I don't really need them. To do that, you toggle breakpoint, right click. I don't need them because this process works just fine, and I'm not trying to simulate any exceptions at this point in time. Okay? What was that again? Toggle breakpoint. All right, having removed my breakpoints, I'm going to again click, see where I'm clicking here, object repo. Right here, that'll take me back to the view that we have, right, of everything from a bird's eye view. So we can see everything very simply from here. Now we can move. What are slow steps, right? When I click play now, how quickly does it execute? So these are different speeds. If I click once, it's 1x, 2x, 3x, 4x. So it will run 4 times as fast as default if I set it to 4x, right? So again, we can quickly rush through it by pressing this debug play. I'm going to zoom through it very quickly. I mean, it's going to do every step, right? But faster than at default speed. So if you want it slower, you would, put it to 1x and the speed would be slower, right? So it's all done. So that's what you use slow step for. If you want it to move slower, you control the speed with that. I'm going to leave it off because it's not a big deal. Execution trail. This shows you the progress by, if you click on it, it will show you like a check mark when it's completed each step in the process, and best viewed by pressing the debug and watching, right? And I'm going to do something while we're debugging. I'm going to introduce you to the break button, which is like buried under the debug button. So if I press this blue play now, you'll see this break button will appear. I can stop it, the automation, by clicking on it. It'll just stop, right? I clicked on break. That's how you break it while it's running forcefully. But you can only use this in debug mode, of course. Okay? So not to forget what we're doing, if you notice, if you see the top right hand corner of each box, you see something that looks like a clock, and you see that this one that is highlighted down here now has been executed. You can see 7 was already typed into the calculator, and that's why it has a green check mark. So it basically shows you a trail of what has been done. So as of now, 7 has been executed. If I press continue now, it's going to continue through the process, and you basically see it, put a check mark for everything it does, or it completes. There you go. It's all done now. And of course, you're going to see a lot of green check marks because it did everything. If it fails, of course, you'll see, it will even crash if it fails. So that's execution trail. It shows you how, what has been done. Closely related to this is this profile execution here. So I'm going to say open profiling panel. by clicking that. And I'm going to do what we just did again, but I'm not going to pause it or break it, just to show you the difference. It's a very similar, but if you like, more analytical tool that just tells you a little bit more about execution. So it's all done now, but I'm going to have to go look for the profile execution state, which is, I might need to click on this place here. And if I scoot my picture of my image over here and expand this, it's basically telling you it's been done, and this took 82.5% of the time. This box called object repo. The calculator part took 68.6% of the time, and after that this took about 0.1%. So basically, how much, how efficient is the process, and how much, how much does it consume, time does it consume, or resource. So basically, each little box here, each set of activities, each nested sequence, object repo took about 14 seconds and 14 seconds and a little bit more. This took about 3 seconds and a little bit more. So together 82.5 and 17.2%, right? And then there's some other activities if you are interested in that sort of thing. So this would be a more useful tool when you are looking at maybe making things faster than they are regularly. So that's what profile execution is for. So I'm going to unhighlight this now and do highlight elements. Now this, you're already familiar with it. Basically shows you what's being worked on as you do it. So I'm going to hit that and you see it again. You can see how it's highlighting the keys as it's pressing them. The plus button is being highlighted. The 3 button is being highlighted because it's about to be pressed. So basically, a bit of flavor to what we're doing. And that's it. So that would be what that is. The elements that are being worked on are highlighted maybe just a second before they are hit, is what that does. Log activities is basically a trace log. But for you to appreciate what that means, I will need to run it. Let me do times 4x. I will need to run it once and show you the output panel, and then show you what it looks like when I click log activities. So let's quickly do that. So watch, the output panel is at the bottom left. You can see it says audit using desktop app, but there's not much more written there. Since I still have highlight elements on, it's still highlighting the keypad just before it presses it. All right, it's done. So if you look at the output logs, well, not quite, almost done. Now it's done. If you look at the output log, it says my first process execution started, audit this, and then that. Very brief logs. But if I hit log activities, I'm going to unhighlight these now. I think we're done with them. We're working on log activities. I'm going to click this and then press play again. You look at the difference in the output panel now. You can see it's much busier, putting out trace logs every time it does something. It writes notes that I've done this, I've done that, I've executed this, I've closed this. So it's a lot busier. It's that would be the difference. And of course, that means much more storage if you're keeping the logs like this. It's not typically recommended, because when you become a professional, you know how much data logs you keep starts to matter. You know, you have some very big automations that you can't like have it registering every single line, such as what it did. Because this is not a lot of steps, right? But when your automation is very complex, such as the one I showed you in the last video, where it has so many things, you know, under one there are going to be a lot of lines, and that's going to be a lot of data. And some automations can be really, really big, right? So back here, that's what log activities does. This continue an exception is, again, when something goes wrong and it throws an exception, that's called. You can just say continue an exception and it goes on. Picture on picture is for, like, it basically opens another virtual instance, like another window. It's not going to work on your computer. It opens on a virtual computer, if you know what that means, like a cloud computer, and it's doing all these things that we just looked at, but on another computer somewhere in the cloud. So you can actually be working on your computer while that one is working, right? That's what it's used for. I would have liked to show you that, but I can't remember what my Windows password is for this computer. I need to have that. I usually use like a passcode, and that's not good enough for UiPath. So you can click on it and try it on your own computer. All you have to do is execute, and it will open it on the cloud, as long as you're able to log in using your Windows computer login, which will pop up in the process of executing. So what do we have here? Open logs is basically where all the things we've been doing, where are they stored? They're in a certain folder. They're here. So today is 7:20. That would be, so for example, what we just did would be in it would be in like a notepad. All the stuff we did is logged down somewhere. You can see how busy it is. So imagine if you were keeping logs. With that log activity, can end up being a lot of data. So these are basically everything it's doing is logging it down, like notes that I did this, I closed this, trace log type at this time. It's doing all of that, which may not always be necessary. See, but good to know that that's where that is. So that's what this does. Open logs takes you to the location of where the logs are stored. It always stores a copy on the local computer, but what we don't want is for it to be storing it in the UiPath orchestrator, because that takes up space, and over time that adds to your costs of building an automation. So I think this video is long enough. We've basically gone through everything here except for those that relate to retry, ignore, restart, and continue on exceptions. We would treat that when we are dealing with exception handling, not now. But this is enough to show you the functionality of UiPath Studio as far as the debug panel is concerned. I think you are ready to tackle any UiPath process with this knowledge. And I look forward to you crushing it in the near future. So I'll see you in the next video. Have a nice day.